Hi there, I am back. I'm Tiff, and this is Tiff Reads Books, and I read things and I talk to you about them, but today I'm just going to talk to you about some things that I want to do next year. And I've been wanting to do this video for a little while because I'm very excited about some of the things I want to do, and it's not goals. I don't want to make goals because I get stressed when I do, and then I try really hard to stick to them, and then I just burn myself out. And having burnt myself out plenty of times in my academic career, I strive to not enter burnout. Those are my goals, is not enter burnout. So I'm not going to set goals. So what we're going to talk about instead is things that I'm excited about for next year. And hopefully it will get you excited and make you want to stick around, have some interactions with me, have some conversations with me about things that I'm excited about and that maybe you're excited about too. And so I've been waiting for my brother to give me an answer on something. So he finally did tonight, which, brief interlude, I'm really frustrated. My brother met me at work because a coworker got some oysters and she was like, "Hey, I've got these fresh oysters. I don't really like them. Do you want them?" There's 2 big bags. And I was like, "Hell yeah, I want some oysters." So she's like, "Okay, they're in this location. I'll set them aside for you. They'll have my name on them. You can just grab them. Have a great New Year's." It's like, "Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that." So I text my brother. I'm like, "Hey, you want one of these big bags of oysters?" And he's like, "Hell yeah, I do." So he comes to meet me at work. Somebody stole the friggin' oysters. So mad. It's like looking all around for them. So, but I was able to pin him down and get him to give me an answer. So hopefully this will happen. So now that I've teased it, I might as well tell you. My brother and I are going to do a book club that we're going to share with you guys. It's going to be really chill, 1 book a quarter, and a lot of it is going to be backlist. So my brother really likes Michael Crichton. We grew up in the Jurassic Park era. My brother was 3 when the movie came out, and my mom let him watch it because he was dinosaur obsessed, and she kept trying to cover his eyes when scary things happened, and he was like, "Mom, stop it." So I was almost 8. It was 7 or 8. My brother was 3, and he has been obsessed with Jurassic Park ever since. So one of the first books he read for school was Jurassic Park, and he was like, "I like this author. This author works really well for him." And I tried to read Jurassic Park because it was his favorite, and I could not. There was big science info dumps in the beginning, and my brain was just "This is so boring. I can't do it." But I decided I'd give it a go again. So what we're going to do is once a quarter, so March, June, September, and December, we will be reading a book, and then having a chat about it. And at the same time, we're going to be having a beer, discussing the beer, recommending the beer to go with the book. So he picked the first book, and I will be picking the first beer. I haven't decided what it is yet, but we're going to do locals. It's going to be a beer, a book, and a bro. And we are going to first be reading Congo from Michael Crichton, and we're going to be discussing that. That video should go up March 21st is the goal. I will be updating in case anything happens. So if you want to read that and see what we think about it, and join us in the chat, the comments on the video, I will be in the comments on the video when the video goes up, and we can talk about it. And then maybe as the seasons go on, we might be doing some lives as we get things figured out with the setup and my camera situation. So, but yeah, so he picked the first book, Congo by Michael Crichton, an older one. We have also discussed potentially watching the movie and then talking about the movie as well, because we remember watching that movie when we were around the same age. We were very young, because I remember the place we were living in, and we moved out of that place when I was 8, and I'm 5 years older than my brother. So the 90s were a thing. Where your babysitter goes to Blockbuster and grabs a movie and decides that's what you're going to watch. And they're not always appropriate. So, okay. That's my first yearly thing that I'm excited about. The next thing is I'm going to continue doing my Stephen King rereads with audiobooks, 1 a month, 1 or 2, usually 1 a month, just rereading the books that I've already read with audiobooks. Along with that, not in audio, but in physical form, I want to do a reread of the Dark Tower series. I haven't read the whole thing since 2004 when the last book came out, and I read the last 3 books in as soon as I could. I have read The Gunslinger 3 more times since then, but never continued with the series after that. So I'm looking forward to doing the whole series, just binging it and seeing how my opinions on it have changed. So that is something that I want to do next year. I want to continue to branch out with genres and authors. I've discovered this year some authors that I really like, and want to keep doing that and get a little bit more sci-fi in. I'm definitely going to be steering clear of the romance and the romantasy, with the exception of like T. Kingfisher and things that have that humor element. They kind of work for me as something that I can just sit and listen to while I'm doing other things. But I won't be reading the popular ones because those just don't work for me. I'm sorry if you can hear the tappy tap of the dog upstairs. And then those are like my major, like, big things that I want to do. One of the other things is that when I was on art Instagram a whole lot, there would be themed months for drawing challenges, and I really want to do themed reading months that are just riffing off of those, even continuing with the same ones. So I have already said a couple of times that I want to do Jan Arcuary. So let's have this be the announcement for that. Let me get my laptop and I'll read to you what arcs I have. While I wait for my laptop to start back up again, I will probably be starting Jan Arcuary a little bit early. This is my holiday weekend, my last one for 2023. So tonight is my Friday, and I will be finishing Silver Under Nightfall. I always want to confuse it with Silvia Moreno Garcia's Silver Nitrate, but yeah, Silver Under Nightfall, because I have an arc of A Court of Wanderers, which is the sequel. So I really want to get to that, so I'll be starting with that as my first one. So I just got approved for one more this morning, so I now have 10 arcs that I will be reading for Jan Arcuary. The first one I already talked about is Court of Wanderers, which is Rin Chipeko's sequel to Silver Under Nightfall, which is vampire hunter, polyamory, and make it high fantasy. It's entertaining so far. Silver Under Nightfall has like waves of like high action and really fast and then slow, and yeah, so it's taking me a little bit, and with the holidays and honestly Iron Flame put me into a massive reading slump and I've been struggling. So yeah, so the other ones that I have, so I'll be giving more detail on these in that video, because each of them I'm going to break them up and do vlogs each week of which ones I'm reading and get those vlogs up for you. So I have the newest one that just came in today is The Deading by Nicholas Ballardis. This is a literary fiction sci-fi fantasy that sounded pretty interesting. And then I have Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. This one is a sci-fi. This one is a fantasy, I believe. This is a fantasy. I have The Dead Cattail Assassins by P. Jelly Clark. That is a fantasy that sounds great. I'm sure you've heard tons of other people talk about it if you've watched any like fantasies I'm excited for. So I have an arc of that. Is a nice novella size. A Dark and Drowning Tide, which is a dark academia sapphic fantasy. I'm sure you've heard other people say they're excited for this book. So I do have an arc of that I'll be reading. Strange Folk, which I think this is a lit fic that leads towards fantasy, a general fiction fantasy. So we'll see on that one. I have Into the Sunken City by Dinesh Thiru, which this one comes out in January. So this will be one of the first ones I'm reading. This is a YA fantasy that just sounds really atmospheric and good. I have Grey Dog by Elliot Gish. This is a horror, and I talked about it in my horror books that I'm most excited for. I have The Haunting of Velkwood, which is a horror thriller that I'm also excited about, that I did talk about in my horror books I'm excited for video. And then lastly, I picked up a graphic novel, and I'm a little unsure. And this is the height of World War I, but it's a horror graphic novel. So I was like, we'll give it a go and we'll see if it's something I like. So I have a graphic novel as well. And I will give you more information about them when I start that video series. There is a drawing challenge in March called March of Robots, where you draw a robot a day. And I participated in this one a couple of times because I don't really draw like mechanical things very well. So I participated in it to try to get some experience, but I think it would be really fun to read sci-fi in March. And I have a list of suggested sci-fi, which again, I just closed my laptop. Okay, so I will be putting this image up here, but I asked on my Instagram for recommendations for good sci-fi. I gave a couple of things that I've liked this year and was like, these are what I like for sci-fi. I really want to read more. Give me your best suggestions. And I got a ton of suggestions, and I whittled it down to the best, like 12 that seemed most suited for me. So I have some bonus ones that if I get through those, I will be trying as well. So I might be trying those before I start the 12 in March of Robots. So I have Scythe by Neil Shusterman, which is a YA sci-fi. I have The Dogs of War by Adrian Tchaikovsky, which is a first in a series. And I believe this one gets into some ethics. And there's literally like a big dog, like a big bioengineered dog. And I was like, hell yeah. Martha Bell's All Systems Red is the start of the Murderbot series. It's a novella. And that one sounds, I mean, everybody's been talking about it on BookTube for a while. Ancillary Justice by Ann Leckie, which is a series. And I believe this is also, I think this one has some gender diversity in it, but I can't quite remember exactly. But I wanted things that were diverse. So, and because when I was growing up, most of the sci-fi that people talked about were like white dudes in space. And I was like, I'm tired of white dudes in space. So give me the diverse stuff. So then I have a memory called Empire by Arkady Martine, which is a queer book and a series, start of a series. A lot of these are series. So yay. I have To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini, which is the first in a series. And this one is hit or miss on the reviews on whether it's good or not. So, and I believe this is a long one. I have Hunt the Stars by Jesse Mihalik. This is a romance and a series. I have The Darkness Outside of Us, which is a YA and queer. I have The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi. I've just read or listened to some John Scalzi on audio, and I do like his pacing and his tone of voice, so we'll see how much I like this one. I have The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which is queer and apparently part of a series. This one I've heard tons of people talking about recently, so I was like, when someone suggested it, I was like, okay, I'll throw it on there. I have Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes, which is a horror sci-fi. I have a Nnedi Okorafor, The Shadow Speaker, which is Afrofuturism, and a series. And I have liked some of her books already this year, and also felt kind of mid about some of her books, so it'll be interesting to see that. So then the bonus ones that I will probably be getting to, Slaughterhouse-Five. It's talked about for sci-fi and horror, and we'll see. It's a classic, and me and classics aren't always a good mix. I have another Adrian Tchaikovsky, Shards of Earth, which is the first of a series. I have another one, maybe this is the other one, Elder Race by Adrian Tchaikovsky that someone else recommended. This is a fantasy sci-fi. I have a military horror called The Scourge Between Stars by Ness Brown, and I am unsure about this one. I saw someone else, what is her name? I saw somebody else talking about it, and that kind of made me go, okay, I'll give it a try. It's a novella. It's a military horror sci-fi, and things that are military for me are hit or miss. It depends on their opinion on the military, on whether they work for me. I had another classic recommended to me. This is John Wyndham, The Midwich Cuckoos. And this is dystopia, alien invasion, pregnancy, and I probably won't read this one. But if that sounds like a good book to you, let me know how you feel about it if you've read it. And then my boyfriend wants to read Horus Rising. He's gotten a lot into the lore of 40K, and this is a book based in that, and he asked if I wanted to read it with him. I might. We'll see. So, sci-fi, March of Robots. Let's do it. Okay, after March of Robots, I get a little unsure of the other things that I want to do. There is Mermaid. And I definitely want to do Mermaid. So Mermaid, as everyone draws a mermaid a day. There are so many good mermaid books that are weird and stuff. And the problem is going to be not reading them before then, because I just read today River Solomon's The Deep. And because I read River Solomon's In Unkindness of Ghosts and was like, oh my god, this is so good. I finished it last night and was like, this is heartbreakingly, tragically beautiful. And then Audible was like, hey, do you want to listen to this one? this is another one by the same author, and Audible made me pay for it, so I got it from Libby instead. So I read that on Libby today, and it is so atmospheric and emotional and dark, and it's so good. So it made me go, okay, Mermaid is something we're going to do. The other things, Smoggist, a dragon a day in August, Smoggist. Obviously, I'm going to be starting with The Hobbit because I actually haven't read it. So I will be reading The Hobbit, and that will be starting Smoggist, and I will be reading dragon books in August. So if you want to join me for that, we can get some, like, a list of books, and we can all, like, read these things together. At least one or two of them we can have that we're doing together, because I love reading things with other people so I can discuss with them. There's another one that is June, is Junicorn, and I'm hesitant on that because really the only one I can think of is The Last Unicorn, which I do want to read, and maybe we can just read, like, one themed book for some of the other months. I say we, like, you guys are all going to be doing this with me, but that's the other thing. So there's Junicorn, and there's a few, like, weird unicorn books that I have seen from, like, the 90s fantasy era, and there's one called The Unicorn War. I keep seeing in my thrift store, and I'm kind of tempted because it sounds really ridiculous, but I could do Junicorn, at least do a week in some of the other months. October is, how can I not do Spooktober? I'm gonna make it spooky. I'm gonna be doing Halloween stuff all October. October is usually Inktober, Drawtober. There's an artist that does Apoctober, where he does a bunch of stuff based on Lovecraft, and I was tempted to do that, so I might throw some Lovecraft in there, like do a week of Apoctober and a week of Spooktober, and where, like, a week of, there's Spooktober, which is, like, spooky cute, and I do love people's spooky cute drawings, so maybe we'll do some spooky cute. And there's all sorts of October stuff that's always easy to do. December is Deercember. I don't think I want to be reading things about deer and just deer. So yeah, there are a couple of things that I want to do this coming year, and I hope I didn't go too chaotic throughout that with you, and that you're interested in some of them or sticking around for some of them. If you have other ideas for themed months, please, like, hit me with them, and I will happily, like, consider doing at least a week. So like I said, I probably is after January. I don't know if I'll be doing the whole month nothing but those books, but I will probably dedicate a week in each month to specific books that are themed for that, because I think that could be something that's really fun. I'm still working out the kinks of, like, how I want to do it, but I just think it's really fun. So hit me with your other suggestions and ideas, and let me know if you want me to figure out how to do a live for our Congo talk. And if you want to do it with us, that would be awesome. And yeah, thanks for sticking around. Give this a like if you like any of these ideas. Let me know in the comments if you have suggestions, and subscribe if you want to see any of these things. And I will see you soon.